Hello, I'm Jade the Willow, and today we're going to break down 3 elements of the SolarPunk genre to help you create and give you some inspiration for your own SolarPunk Minecraft builds. We're going to cover architecture, sustainable energy, and greenery, and how to put them into Minecraft, or at least give you some prompts. SolarPunk is an artistic movement that envisions a bright and sustainable future for the world. It involves lots of plants and lots of renewable energy. I had someone comment a while ago about wanting to see some more up-close elements of SolarPunk, and I thought I'd like to see some more up-close elements of SolarPunk in Minecraft. So we're gonna go on this adventure together. SolarPunk architecture covers a lot of different looks. It can be a lot of different things, so I've broken it down into a few different options, some either-ors, that I like to use when I want to build something in this theme that can maybe help guide you when you're coming up with it. So we can do sort of a futuristic or modern, we can do clean or a grungy look, we can do happy colors, bright, pastel, we can go with a square or more rounded. And I also think there's lots of glass, lots of open air, open spaces, and you can just have fun with it and kind of go where you want. But those are things that I think can all be mixed and matched, and you can still get a very SolarPunk feeling build. But the most important thing for SolarPunk is to make it sustainable. But for this, before we get into that, which is our next category, I would like to start with the base. I'm choosing to use some rounder shapes because I like circles, and it's not a style I build in often, especially for Minecraft since it's, blocky. But we're going to use some white and mud bricks for our blocks. I like both of these, and I think they'll go well with the green we'll add later. These blocks are light and happy, and we'll add some more colors with flowers too. I want this building to feel a little bit hodgepodge, with lots of different spaces for plants and things in between. We're keeping it pretty clean, not grungy, and we're leaning a little bit towards a futuristic look. We're not going too extreme into any of the categories, but that's kind of what I picked out from my list I gave you. Like I mentioned, there are a ton of options and ways to mix and match things, and so far my SolarPunk builds have been a lot of trying things out and seeing how they look. One part of SolarPunk that goes with the architecture and the sustainable energy is that oftentimes the energy generating elements are incorporated into the building itself. It's more efficient, sometimes it can be pretty, and if you can in your build, I would recommend planning out those elements at the same time as you're planning out the rooms. For example, you might see solar panels used in the roof or for the roof. One of my favorite things to add in a SolarPunk build is a living wall, kind of like those grass moss roofs if you've seen those, but instead it's vertical and it takes the place of your exterior wall. However, I'm not sure it's working in this spot particularly well. For the Minecraft version of these, I like to use moss in a few different layers so I can have things hanging and sitting, and it's not a flat moss wall. But because of the scale and the angle of this section of the house, I might have to incorporate it in a different way. So we ended up going with a half roof, half wall sort of situation. I like it a lot though. And then I worked on finishing this room. I like its funky shape. I don't know if it architecturally makes sense, but hey, it's Minecraft, I'm having fun, so good enough. We're going to add in a little garden with flowers to brighten up the space, and I found a different place to add in a living wall. It doesn't have the layers in it, but with all of the other decorations, I think it's fine. And this part isn't specifically SolarPunk related, but I'm adding in a bit of shading and variation to the block so it's not a solid blank space. Just to help it look a little bit better, give it a bit of a weathered, lived-in look. This is something I do with all of my builds, not just SolarPunk. Now we get to add in the sustainable energy parts, which is very exciting and very, very important to make our build more SolarPunk-y. So with all of our things that we add to our build, we want to try to keep them environmentally friendly. Now, if you, like me, are not someone who studies or works in the energy, environment, etc. fields, this may be a little bit of a daunting question, but do not worry, I have a few ideas for you. Solar panels are a classic, especially for SolarPunk that's what we're going to add in first. I wanted for this build to put solar panels on the roof, but I still wanted a round roof, so I'm keeping it kind of close without changing the shape, and we're just gonna plop them right up there. I was looking through blocks and I almost chose the kelp block to be the solar panels because they have the lines going through, but I liked the dynamics that the skulk adds. Other things to use are wind power, which I also used, hydropower, like I added in my 10-hour SolarPunk City build, gathered rainwater. This I thought would be a great use for cauldrons to pop them outside. Geothermal, I mean, you could do a cool SolarPunk volcano build. I think that would be pretty neat. And bioenergy, where you burn organic materials. And gardens. This goes into the greenery, which we'll get into in a moment. It's not the same type of energy source as the other ones, being that it's for you to ingest, but they can be very sustainable nonetheless. All right, I'm turning my flower garden into a little space for some bees to help keep my houseplants thriving. And because then it's not only a pretty space, but it's also a practical space, which I think is a very important part of SolarPunk. It's great when you can combine utility with recreation. And then, because it's Minecraft, you can always add in anything that looks remotely mechanical or fun to you and attach it to the walls or the ground or wherever. I added some lightning rods as pipes, and I took an observer and attached it to the wall. This is an area you can get really creative with. For this build, it's purely aesthetic, but you could make it represent an air conditioner, or you could use redstone and make yourself a light system and be really practical about it, which would be really cool. In SolarPunk, plant life is flourishing. Our third section is all about the plants. We've already incorporated some plants into our building, the roof, the wall, the flowers for the bees, but let's add a little bit more around the house. We have to add in trees. They both fill up an area nicely and are great for the environment. In Minecraft, I love adding leaves as vines or bushes all around the ground and on my builds themselves. It adds a lot and helps settle the building into the environment more and just look like it's existed in the space and hasn't just been plopped down there. I love to use two kinds of leaves. Generally, I use oak and azalea, but it kind of depends on the environment I'm building in. And bone mealing all over the place is always a very easy way to make it feel like the area is full of plant life, so we had to do that, of course. And then the last thing I want to add is a little food garden. I found a picture once that showed a layout that could theoretically provide enough food for, I can't remember if it was a person or a family, but it was for a whole year. And if you want to be really intentional about your design or your build, doing some research into things like this can really add a lot of depth, and it can help guide your build and give you some great inspiration. Do you guys have any more ideas or aspects of SolarPunk that you think are really crucial that I maybe missed? Because I would love to know for my future builds, and I'm sure other people would appreciate it too. SolarPunk is a fascinating and hopeful idea for the future and aesthetic that can provide ideas for our creative projects. I hope this helped you out a little bit, or at least you had a fun time watching it. It helped me gather some ideas for builds for me to do in the future. I would really love to try a more grungy SolarPunk city. I'd love to hear about your favorite SolarPunk building techniques or ideas that you're excited about. And if you're still in the SolarPunk mood and want some more inspiration, I've done 2 other SolarPunk builds, though it was a while ago. I'll link at least one of those at the end if you're interested. Thanks for hanging out with me, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Bye!